Welcome to Studio 21. This is the musical part of the show. And today we have Kobe Patterson here with us to discuss his new album, We Were Never Meant to Be Here. Kobe, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, doing good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm just living. I'm just living,
So,
but I'm excited to talk to you. So I always like to get to know my artist a little bit first, get some background information. And the first question I usually always ask is what kind of music was playing in your household while you were growing up?
ooh, that's a good question. A lot of like 70s, like classic rock kind of, but also like the singer-songwriter rock of the 70s, like a lot of like Elton John, and my mom really like James Taylor and like Carole King and like you name it, man. Just a lot of 70s music, some late 60s stuff, but definitely a lot of 70s sounds of the 70s soundtracks all the time in the car. And also my mom listened to the Christian radio a lot. So a lot of like contemporary Christian music growing up for sure. That was in the mix heavy.
No, I definitely get that. My dad was just always playing classic rock because that's what he grew up on and was just always playing in the car. And I guess that leads me to where I want to know, when did you start to kind of branch out from classic rock? Not necessarily that you stopped listening to it, but when did you start to develop your own kind of musical taste?
Dude, I'll tell you what I think happened. So I got into like Eminem in middle school. And then it was just the downward spiral. Then I was like, oh man. And like I started making beats for like my friends in high school, just on like GarageBand and stuff, making hip hop stuff for my homies. And then I was like, oh, you can like produce stuff, but I also played instruments. I played guitar and stuff because I like that type of music and stuff. And I was like, oh, you could kind of put them together and make your own weird little produced out version of whatever you want to be. So I think that's kind of what started it all for me, for sure. For sure, getting into hip hop and like seeing that whole world.
So you mentioned the guitar. When did you start picking that up?
How old was I? I was probably like 10 or 11. I know I've been playing for like a decade now, which is crazy, and it makes me feel like super old to say that. But yeah, I've been playing for like a decade now, and it was the Eagles Hotel California solo that made me want to get into guitar. My dad showed me that, like he had like the little concert DVD, and I saw them play that song, and I was like, that's it right there.
Like
Yeah, I got to play guitar.
that's where it is, and that kind of started your little journey in terms of making your own music. I mean, do you remember when you started kind of writing your own material, or was it just like at the beginning you were just like, let me see if I can actually do Hotel California and learn that and then go into doing some other stuff?
Yeah, for no, for sure. At first, I didn't even sing. Like I was super self-conscious about like singing in front of people and like, right, definitely writing my own stuff. I didn't start doing that till like senior year of high school. Like I haven't been writing my own stuff for that too terribly long. I've been playing instruments a lot longer, but I had this dude when I was in middle school too, and we jammed together and stuff. And he encouraged me to just like start singing the covers that I was playing, like whatever song I would learn. Like, why don't you just sing it too? And I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing like little coffee shop things here and there, and just kind of messing around. And yeah, now I write my own stuff, but it definitely wasn't always like that.
So you were a little afraid of singing a little bit. Why was that? I mean, was it just because you were young and you were like a little self-conscious? You're just like, man, nobody wants to hear my voice, because you really do. You have a fantastic voice. I've listened to some of your live stuff, and I mean, you kill it. I mean, when
Thank you.
what happened?
Honestly, I sucked. If you want to know the real truth, man, I sucked. Like there's some I could if you think I sound even decent now, I could pull up some archived footage, man, of the old stuff. I honestly, I just didn't really know how to sing, and like anything else, you practice it, you get a little better. But it was partly because I wasn't very good at it, and then also because I feel like everyone's self conscious to sing in front of people, even if everyone, even if you're good at it, I feel like you still feel that feeling. It's vulnerable. It really is to open up your mouth and let that do the
No,
music for you.
like 100%. You also mentioned when you did start to sing in front of people at those coffee houses, what was the vibe there? Like what was going through your mind when you were getting up on stage? I mean, did it feel like almost second nature once you were on there? Because I know once you get on stage, the adrenaline starts pumping, and then you kind of transcend into this other headspace where you're able to kind of block out everything. I mean, did you feel anything like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm always, even now, I'm pretty nervous before shows, but once you get going, it's fine. It's fine. I played basketball long enough to get over that one. Once the jump ball happens, you're off to the races. It's a different game.
So you were able to like block out the noise, because that's a huge thing that always comes up. Like I remember I used to play baseball a lot as a kid, and I mean I was never really that good, but just I would always remember just getting up to bat and then hearing, just like somebody from the stands, say something, and I was just like, man, I'm completely thrown off now. I mean, I mean, is that just something that like you're able to just like block out? It's just like constant basketball games, and you're just like, at this point it's just white noise.
At this point, I would like to think I'm decent at it. I'll tell you a quick story. I played a show in January before COVID happened, and this threw me off a little bit. This one got me. My ex showed up to the show, and I saw people in the crowd kind of like making a scene about it, and I was like, "Oh man, what's going on in there?" And then it got a little weird, and that one threw me off. But that's been the only thing that's kind of got me so far.
Man, I mean, that's got to be a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience to see an
It
ex
was
there.
funny. It was funny. Like I really didn't know how that happened, but she showed up, and it was funny.
You're like, oh, man, I was not expecting this, but you know what? I'm kind of glad that you're here. I'll show you what you don't got anymore. I'll show you what you don't got.
Oh, or what she's glad to not have.
Or what
Either
she's
one.
glad to not have. Well, I hope not. I hope not. That's not the case. So I've been talking to a lot of different artists recently, and one of the things that I've been finding interesting about them is that they tend to draw a lot of inspiration, not necessarily from music. I mean, obviously, music is a huge part of their influence, but I was talking to this rapper the other day, Chester Watson, and in high school, he was doing ballet. He went to a performing arts high school and he did ballet. And that's kind of how he learned different kind of rhythms of music and how he was able to incorporate different, instead of just like a 4/4, like a 3/4, even like a 6/4, something like that. And you can really feel it in his music because it kind of comes out in that way where you can feel the physicality. I mean, where do you have any influences kind of like that? Not necessarily like dance or ballet, but where does your inspiration for your music come from outside of that music that you grew up listening to?
Yeah, I definitely don't have anything as cool as ballet, man. That sounds like a super tight way to inspire you music. Man. I should do ballet. Man, that's a good question. Honestly, I like a lot of film stuff. I've always been really into movies and like directors. Like I've always, like Stanley Kubrick, like Wes Anderson. I'm really into like Tarantino and all that stuff. I like making vivid music, if that makes any sense. Like really anything that's very striking and vivid. That's why I'm attracted to some of those movies. Like all that stuff inspires me. So it pretty much, I thought I was going to major in art history. So pretty much the entire like art world, like whatever it is, if I'm attracted to it, it definitely finds a way into my music somehow. I think like I kind of sponge it all up, everything that I like.
No, I mean, I can 100% hear that in your music, because your music definitely has a level of artistry to it where it does kind of remind me of maybe even like a painting in some way, especially when I look at the album cover. It's really poppy. And I mean, the music is, I mean, it's pop music, but I mean, it really does. It kind of shines this little light and a kind of focus. Oh, man, that's my bad. And this focus onto whatever vignette of your life that you're going through. And I think I can definitely understand that and feel that whenever I'm listening to your music, and especially this latest album. um there's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about because I thought it was pretty interesting. I read the Trinitonian article that just came out about you, and I noticed something that you said. You were talking to the Trinitonian interviewer, and you said something about your music, and you said that music has been like an unhealthy lifelong obsession. And I thought that was a really interesting word because, musicians they have like an obsession with music. I mean, artists have an obsession with whatever they're doing, but I've never really heard the characterization of unhealthy. And I thought that was really interesting. I mean, could you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, dude, honestly, I haven't even read that interview yet. Now that you say it back to me, that sounds like so melodramatic. I don't know if I meant it that way. But um, I don't I don't know, man. Like there, one, I taught myself pretty much everything. Like I taught myself how to play the instruments and stuff. So I was always just like really weird about it. Like I sat down with the Eagle CD and rewound Hotel California over and over again until I learned how to play the intro. I've always just been like really like once I sat down to do something, I want to do it right. And then as life goes on and you get more like adult responsibilities, any artist can try to say otherwise about the whole like I just believe in myself undoubtedly and I'm so sure of myself. No, 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 no. Okay, listen, when you tell people that you want to do music, people look at you a little funny, like it's just it's the reality of it. It's hard to do. So like in college especially, man, I really struggled with my sophomore year mainly. While I was making this album, I was really struggling with like, man, I'm gonna have to decide what I would like want to do soon for like a job, like like all that pressure from what I was doing, all other aspects of life. Like I was playing basketball, I was doing a whole lot of stuff, and then music takes up a lot of time if you want to do it like I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like at the obsessed level. And for me, I don't know if I'm necessarily that good at balance. Like I try to compartmentalize my life, but it gets unhealthy. So I'm sitting here at my desk all day making stuff and not doing homework. I'm sitting here all day at my desk doing stuff, making music, and I'm neglecting friendships or whatnot. Relationships, I ain't gonna lie, it's happened before. Like, people want your time, and sometimes I'm just a little unhealthily focused on what I'm doing. So I guess in a less melodramatic way, that's what I'd say it is.
But I mean, is music something that you want to do professionally? Because like when I listen to the album, I'm like, no, this guy, this is what he wants to do. This is what he should be doing. He's making good music. So balancing everything, like, I mean, obviously college is important, and at a certain point you feel like you're indebted to, maybe your parents, or to set out on this goal to complete this journey. But at the same time, you do have that knack in your mind that's saying, no, this is what I really want to do. And it's not necessarily academic based, or something like a professional, like, work setting kind of base, but I want to do this. And I mean, I think it's kind of difficult in this era to just be, or this era of your life to be, bound to all of these other responsibilities that do take away from what you actually want to do. And I relate to that heavily. Like
I'm
I
just now
completely
getting, yeah. I'm just now getting to the point where I'm having like the confidence to like actually say it. Like, yeah, I do want to do it professionally. Like I think I've put in the work and I want to keep on putting in the hours to get there. Like I don't know how it's gonna, and that's another thing. Like 2 years ago, I didn't know how it looked or how it would happen, but just by doing it, things have come out, opportunities have come my way that I'm super blessed for. So I think I can keep the ball rolling now. I have at least a slightly clearer vision of like how to do it, but it's definitely something that barely now, I would say in the last year or two, I've had the confidence to kind of own up to and be like, yeah, like I want to do this for like for real.
Yeah, no, and I think that you should 100% continue to pursue that. And I mean, it also sounds like, at least with what I've read and what you've told me here so far, that you've surrounded yourself with a good group of people that are encouraging you and telling you to be, expressive in the way that you feel like you should be. And I mean, I think that's always an important aspect of life, is to have good people around you who are like, no, this is Kobe. This is what he wants to do, and he should do it. And so I completely understand that. I completely agree with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Um, so now I'd say let's Actually, no, I do. I have one more question before we get to talking about the album.
Give it to
Um,
me.
so, how has your experience in the San Antonio music scene been thus far? Do you have any favorite memories, any favorite moments, anything that you've learned from, performing, in San Antonio?
Yes, San Antonio has been big for me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm from the Valley. I'm from Edinburgh, and it's a great. I love the Valley. This is no hate, but like this, like the music scene just isn't really that popping down there. Like there's not a lot of live venues and places that let bands come in and play. So it just isn't like that. But here, there's a lot of places to play, and it was like the first big city that I've ever really lived in like that. So I got connected like at paper. I don't know if you know where the Paper Tiger is right there on
Oh,
St.
yeah.
Mary's and stuff. Like I played a free week there, and the guy that kind of runs all the shows and promotes a lot of the shows saw me, and so he started getting me in for shows, like opening for Home Shake and stuff. Like it was cool. Like I made connections through that. I met other artists. Like there's a few bigger artists than me in the city that like I started working with and doing production with for behind the scenes. So like the San Antonio music scene for me has been really beneficial. It definitely helped me like connect with people that I never would have before. I got mad love for the San Antonio music scene. I think it's pretty cool. There's definitely some cool artists here too, like some really good people.
Well, are you planning on staying in San Antonio after graduation, or are you gonna branch off and you're gonna go somewhere else? Do you think?
And that's a great question. We'll see where it takes me. Honestly, San Antonio's been good to me, but I feel like I'm getting to the point where I want to make another move to like see somewhere even bigger. I want to go somewhere else. Maybe we'll get out to California one of these days instead of just rocking the LA jerseys.
Rocking the LA jerseys. I mean, how
Yes,
about
sir.
that? Go to the city of champions right now. That's what I'm
That's what I'm
saying.
saying. They're having a good year. Maybe it's time for me to go ruin it.
Man, I don't think you'll ruin it. I think you'll only add to it. Only add to it. So now it's album time. I'm ready to go down and get into a little bit of the nitty gritty of it. Um, First thing that pops off to me when I first started listening to it was the album title, We Were Never Meant to Get Here. And I think that is such an interesting album title. And I was wondering what you really mean by that. Like, what is the backstory behind it? Because I know you were saying that you were struggling when you were writing the album, and it was kind of a little bit of a messy time. And I mean, is that really where it comes from? Is there any deeper meaning to it besides that?
Dude, so that's crazy. My dad just asked me this question. I had dinner with pops, and he asked me this exact same question. Uh, so, essentially, so I have this answer in my head already. This is good. Essentially, I think the album is about no one thing. I'll just throw that out there. But I think it's definitely about like location, like where you find yourself, like just emotionally, or in your just physically, even in your life, spiritually, like no matter what you're doing, just like the different seasons in your life, and like just looking back on it, how it could feel like, man, like we're never meant to get here, like it just feels kind of surreal, or maybe surreal is not even the right word. It's just life never, I feel like life never really works out how you plan, and you always find yourself in different places that you couldn't anticipate or you just didn't expect. Even if it's a good thing, it could be good things. But yeah, I was just kind of reflecting on things. Also, I was in a playwriting class, and I wrote a play called "We Were Never Meant to Get Here." That's how the first song started, and that's how I got the album title, which was cool. But the play was essentially about the same thing. It was about like where you find yourself in life, and like the different scenarios and the nuances and intricacies thereof.
Dude, that's kind of wild because I'm pretty sure that I was in that playwriting class.
You
That's
were there. I remember you were
that
there.
is kind of wild and interesting. So
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is full circle.
it was playwriting. Did you take that class specifically for like storytelling, like to in order to like maybe like improve or kind of learn about storytelling in any sort of capacity?
Nah, honestly, I took it for the credit, and also I'm an English major, so I take a lot of writing classes, anyways.
Okay.
So yes and no. Like I'm very interested in theater. That's another thing that I really enjoy. That like I kind of like my music to be theatrical too. Like, but that goes along with it being vivid and all that stuff. So yeah, I had interest in it, but there was really no goal in me being in that class. But I'm glad I was in that class because I think it spawned some cool ideas for sure.
I mean, there was definitely some interesting and like really cool pieces going on in that class. I thought that was it was a good one. I wasn't really
Yeah, for
expecting it to
sure.
go there, you know. But that's really
Yeah,
interesting that that's kind of where it kind of a little bit originates from. Um,
yeah, yeah.
you know, one of the things that at least I picked up on the album, and this is like not supposed to sound like an invasive question at all. I'm just letting
Give
you
it to me.
know. But I gotta know. I mean, do you consider yourself like a little bit of a heartbreaker?
Ooh, yeah, dude. Yeah, that's a hard question. Yes and no. I mean, I think everyone's a little bit of a heartbreaker for someone. Let's just say it like that. Everybody's a bit of a heartbreaker for someone. Also, I ain't gonna lie, most of my music is about like it's definitely not about more than one person. We'll say it like that.
Okay.
So like I may change the names and I might, misdirect you here and there, but most of it's about a singular incident.
Okay. See, that's what I was gonna ask because I noticed I was like, and don't bother coming home. You mention a Susie, in Alone Again. It's in parentheses Valerie, and I was just like, man, this guy is getting around and he's just breaking hearts. Like that's what he's doing. That's
Nah, man, what would I look like name dropping one girl for an entire album?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you just had to get it out there, you know? But I mean, I think that artistically, that's the way that you should 100% do it. You got to keep people guessing because I think that adds a little bit to the intrigue of who is Kobe Patterson. Like when you're listening to it, you're just like, wow, like this is really, really interesting. I just like
I
I had
think
to
people
ask.
listen. Yeah, I think people listen to music to relate to it. So like, like the name really doesn't matter. Like the name is a stand-in for someone else's name, anyways. That's how I look at it. Like it's going to be a different name for someone else who listens to the song and relates to it. So I don't know. Doesn't really. That's a good question though.
Hey, well, that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to get to know you a little bit better. Trying to get to
That's
know
funny,
you a little
man.
bit better. So, I mean, are there any songs I know it's like picking children, but are there any songs in particular on the album that you feel a stronger maybe connection to than any of the other ones, or are they're all equal in your eyes?
Man, that's a good question too. I would like to say they're all equal in my eyes, but honestly, I like I like Alone Again a lot. I think that's one of like the better written songs I've ever done. Honestly, sometimes lyrics come last for me, and I'm trying to change that. Uh, but that song, I think it's pretty decently written, so I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. The way it goes, it's nice.
Well, and I mean, like, I can kind of tell that too with just like looking on Facebook or Instagram, seeing that you're doing like the live cover of Alone Again, the acoustic session, and I think that that's really interesting too. Is that how normally all of the songs kind of start out? Is just like you fiddling on the guitar and just trying to find what the sound is, and then going to maybe the studio and doing the making it what it eventually becomes.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really have a specific process. Sometimes, like Alone Again, definitely started with me and the acoustic guitar, just sitting there coming up with those first chords and whatnot. But then sometimes I make a whole beat, production wise, fully fleshed out in Logic and whatnot. And then I come back like a month later and write the lyrics, or sometimes it all happens at once. I don't know. It just depends. I feel like everything on
Yeah.
the album was made in a kind of different way, for sure.
And I mean, how long did it take ballpark to create this album? I mean, you said since sophomore year, so what is it now?
Oh, see, I'll let you in on a secret. A lot of this stuff is pretty old. So like the most recent thing is at least a year old.
Okay.
It's been done for a while, but my release plans kept on getting messed up, and then COVID happened in March when that was like going to be the actual release, but then we had to stop filming all the videos that we were doing. We like all production halted because we all had to go back home. I
No.
went back home, so it just kind of and then I got really sad about it, and then I didn't want to release it anymore. And then my homies were like, "Nah, bro, you got to release it because you worked real hard on it. So there was a little delay in there.
I mean,
It
I'll
took probably
say
like a year.
okay, a year, okay,
Yeah, it
and
took roughly probably a year, maybe a little over.
okay. Well, that I mean, and then I'll say, like that's I'd say a good amount of time to be working on something, and then yeah, I think you should have. Yeah, you gotta release the album. I know the music videos. I mean, obviously, I love music videos because they're just another form of a way to kind of get to know what the song is about. So normally whenever I'm talking to artists, I always like to look at the music videos. I mean, you had said you had to stop production on them. Are they coming back up in a little bit, or are you just putting that out of mind till you get that vaccine shot?
So no, they're definitely coming back. We ended up splicing together a whole bunch of stuff, and we made a video for this album, and I think it came out really well. But like now, since I have a lot of stuff saved up musically and some video stuff saved up that I'm gonna start releasing soon. So it was good to release the album, but I'm gonna get back on the videos and all that soon.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And this is maybe just kind of like a little bit of a throwaway question, but I did see that you like online it says that your label is Audio Grove. Is that accurate, or are you an independent artist?
No, I'm pretty independent. So me and my homie, or my homie has a studio back home in Edinburgh called Audio Grove that I do a lot of work at, and also do some work with him. And he also helps on the engineering side and organization.
Okay.
He helps me in a lot of ways musically, and he also runs a studio called Audio Grove. That's the best. Everyone should go check out Audio Grove.
Okay.
But yeah, see, that's my Audio Grove plug right
Hey,
there.
a little Audio
It's
Grove.
just the studio. I'm still pretty independent. It's not like I'm signed anywhere or anything
Okay.
like that. But it
Okay.
looks good. It looks good.
No, well, that's what I mean, I had to ask. I was just like, wow, I mean, I got to see what this is. And I mean, I saw some artists that used Audio Grove, like Aaron Cartier, or Aaron, I think it's Aaron Cartier, who I've listened to a bunch of his stuff, and I was just like, oh, that's really interesting. I was like, that's pretty cool.
See,
Um,
he's from the valley too. Yeah, yeah, I know that guy.
that's wildin'. Okay, very
Yeah,
cool, very
yeah.
cool. So I guess that's pretty much the gist of all of my questions. You know, I think you touched on wanting to say that this album is about location. And I mean, obviously people are going to draw meaning from, you know, the work, no matter what you kind of, put into it or what you feel about it. But I mean, in the end, what do you truly hope that people get from the album and get from Kobe Patterson? Like, what do you hope that people are taking away from this?
Hope I get a little head movement or something. I don't know. Hopefully, I got some bops that make you not cry. I know some of my music is a bit sad. Honestly, like if you listen to my stuff, I that's enough for me. But if I had something to hope that people got out of it, I don't know. Just a little. I watch movies to detach from reality sometimes. I like watching movies that I can turn my brain off to. I hope people get that. I hope people can listen to my music and just for a second be like, yeah, okay, I'm just in this moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this right now. That's what I hope for.
Okay, very cool. Well, do you got any plugs? Where can we buy the album? I always want people to support the artist. Where can they stream it? Do you got any social plugs? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Everywhere, streaming everywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Google Store, and whatever you want, you name it, it's probably up there. We were never meant to get here. To search up Kobe Patterson, it's up there. My Instagram is Kobe Patterson underscore or something like that. I feel like Kobe Patterson will probably work. Most of my social medias are Kobe Patterson. Uh, this album was cool, but like I said, I have a lot of stuff coming up, so stay tuned and get in now.
That's what I'm saying. Go follow him. Stay updated. Thank you
Yes, sir.
so much, Kobe, for taking the time to talk to me today.